Welcome back to another episode of Into the Pit. I have here Jay. Jay has a YouTube channel. It's called JLivingTV. And
right.
I came across him on Instagram, and we kind of talked to each other a little bit, and he wanted to come on the show. And so, Jay, introduce yourself.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Cleo Night. It's a pleasure to have to be on your station. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Like I said, my name is Jay. I'm like I said, I have a YouTube channel. I actually started it a couple of months ago. I think I started down in August when I started, and for me, it was more of a hobby of a time to show my paranormal adventures that I went on and stuff like that. My girlfriend hates it. She just hates me going on them. She tries as much as she can. She tries to make me stay home, but I love going out there and having fun with my friends and stuff like that. And man, I started. I think for the paranormal, I've been pretty young since I've been involved in it. So my biggest thing was I'm from Mexico, so when I came down to the United States, I think I was about 10, and I had my first paranormal story right off the bat as soon as I got here. I actually we got here to Houston, but right off the bat, I went down to Dallas. And when I was in Dallas, my grandma's house where we were staying, that house just felt awful. It was something that, to me, it was really dark. And my dad, he said it would feel really, really dark, really, just bad vibes and stuff like that, So we used to stay in the living room, in the main living room. And one time I was passing by going towards the kitchen, and I saw the laundry door open, and I thought it was my mom. And I said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to the kitchen." And I passed by, and then I saw my mom in the kitchen. So I was like, okay, I gotta kind of come back and check on myself, So I went right back to the laundry room, and I didn't see anything. And I was like, okay, I know I saw like a little girl, someone in white standing right in the laundry room. And days passed by and stuff like that. And finally talked to my dad, and my dad was like, yeah, I think there's something in that living room, because usually at night you hear stuff, or he's like, it's that room itself is just very dark. So I think that's one of the first stories that I had when I got here to Texas. And my dad is, he's very sensitive to those stuff, and ever since we were little, even then, we live off of, in Mexico, we live right on the border. So, Mexico has a whole bunch of stories, folklore and stuff like that.
Well,
it's
yeah.
Mexico, they kill people just to kill them. So, I'm off of, actually right off as soon as you cross the border, I'm in that little small town. I'm in the north side of Mexico, and we live in our street. We basically are like the corner house to it. And technically that spot right there was a place where, like some blocks down, they had killed this nurse, right? They had shanked her and stuff. And so she tried making it home, and to get to her house, she had to basically cross this little path by our house to get to her house, which was in the back. And she ended up dying right in the middle of our house.
Oh no.
So then we finally built our house there and everything. And everybody in that neighborhood, in those first 3 houses, usually see a white lady either inside their house or outside of their on their patio. And she just walks around, doesn't bother anybody or stuff like that. My grandpa, he's one of the first persons that noticed her. The lady usually goes into our patio. She walks right through the front gate like nothing, and then she walks around our house, and she just goes around it. So my dad used to work for this, it's like Walmart down there in Mexico, and we would always see a person in white come up from our window. We had a front door window, and you would see the window, someone would pass by in white, and we would think it's my dad coming, so we would open the door and no one would be there.
Oh, no.
So that was that. And a lot of people used to see her. My grandpa, like I said, he once saw her, and he was like, well, he saw someone outside. He was sitting down inside watching TV, and so he noticed someone come inside, walked around our house, and then he went outside to try to ask him, what are you doing inside? And when he saw that the lady was literally almost floating, he said that he asked her what she was doing there, and all she said was to watch her son because his kids were going to be in an accident, right? And so my grandpa didn't pay attention to it, and later that day, my uncle fell off the roof because he was on top of the roof trying to fix it, and so he fell all the way down to the floor. My dad crashed in his bicycle, and my uncle had gotten his stuff stolen because he was walking down the street, and someone came in and tried to take all his stuff. So I guess the ladies, she tries to protect people and stuff like that, in a way.
Well, at least there's a good part to that.
Yeah, that's what I told him. Whenever he tells me the story, I didn't actually believe them until I was about 10. It was right before I came down here to Texas. We were getting ready to move over here, and I was going to the restroom. In Mexico, the restrooms are outside. So we were going outside. I was going to the restroom, and I passed up. I kid you not, I passed up the front gate, and I looked towards the park because the park from where I live is right in front of us. So when I was passing by, I saw the gate, and I looked towards the front, and I saw someone inside the park. And it was pretty much, I think I was gonna say it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, so the park was literally closed. And I looked towards the park, and I see someone coming out from where the restrooms were at, and all I see is a white shadow coming towards me, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the restroom. So I ran towards the restroom, locked myself in the restroom, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna wait here a while. Now I'm not coming out. Yeah, I was 10 years old. I was like, I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out until until I make sure, because if I open this door and I see her right in front of me, I'm gonna have to go to the restroom again. So, yeah. So for me, it was that back then when I was little, I was terrified. I had so many things. Like I said, my dad, he's very sensitive to that stuff, and my dad usually whenever he gets mad at something, or whenever he's just having a bad day or something, and he fights with my mom or stuff. Not to put my mom's business out there, but if my mom's watching, Mom, I love you. But yeah, whenever they fight or stuff like that, he usually, would walk outside, or even in Mexico, he would just look out the window. He would say that there was somebody in the back of the window, outside in the back of our house, just asking him to come outside. And my dad would always say that it was this shadow that just wouldn't leave him alone. And he would tell him that his life was worthless, that he was just a pain, and that, stuff. And I was like, when I was little, I really, I was scared of it because my dad would react so bad to it. But now that I'm older, I had my first experience with that, and we were actually outside here in Houston, and we have a house off of the Beltway here in Houston, and that whole place, I want to say, is pretty bad. It has a lot of happenings with the paranormal and stuff. There's from seeing a white shadow down through the street and stuff like that. A lady in white. There's so much stuff that happens around that place. So it's full of energy and stuff. So when we were there, the house that we're at, we're literally in the corner, and behind us is nothing but woods. And my dad one time went outside, and he was pretty pissed that time, and he was just yelling. And I'll be honest, the thing I heard was, first I heard my dad laugh, right? And he was telling that stuff, that he was a piece of crap, that that to leave him alone, And I heard, I kid you not, when my dad was talking, I heard an evil laugh, like those laughs off of like the movies and stuff. And I was like, all right, man, let me go outside. Let me just tell my dad to come inside, get this over with. Sure enough, I go out there, and the day before we had picked up some leaves, and we just left them there. And I'm on top of the leaves, and as I'm on top of them, my dad's yelling to this thing, and he's screaming, and I'm like, Dad, don't pay attention to him. He's a coward. He's a piece of crap. He's not worth it. I told him, and then he's just like, well, my dad's like, nah, he's talking trash. He's like right in front of you. He's saying that we're gonna be miserable and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, don't pay attention to him. And as soon as I said that, all I remember is I was standing up against the wall of my house, and I just, from the corner, I start feeling like someone's coming up running fast. Someone's coming fast. Like if I was playing football, and I just feel like this is gonna tackle me, and I close my eyes. And as soon as I close my eyes, I could literally feel somebody just coming up towards me, looking me dead in the eyes. And even though I had my eyes closed, I think I could feel the presence, and I was being able to look at it and seeing how it looked. And my dad was like, all right, let's go inside. At that point, my dad was like, you know what? He grabbed me and he pushed me and he was like, let's go. So we didn't really talk about it because my mom was outside too. And we all went inside, got that over with. And I think it was about a week into it. And my dad asked me, he's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I'm okay. He's like, that thing didn't do anything to you or told you anything, right? And I was like, no, I mean, I felt it, but he's like, this is how it looks. And he started explaining to me how it looked. And I had never told him what I saw. And he basically explained to me, he was like, look, you saw a black shadow, pretty tall, about almost 7 feet. He was bending down, looking right at your eyes. You could see him. He had like black eyes. He had a hat. He basically almost close to saying he saw the, what do they call that? What's that guy that they always see in the movies? So a movie came out of him. The Slender Man?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. That's basically kind of what it looks like. And I was like, yep, that's exactly what I saw. He's like, it was literally just looking, staring at me. And I could hear him laughing, and my dad was like, yeah, he was just there sitting down laughing. And I was like, yeah, that's what I saw. He's like, yeah, and that's basically what I talk to every time. And so from that day on, I think that's what made me really get more into YouTube and really do my paranormal stuff, was because I was like, okay, I saw this guy. And it's not that I want to see him again. My mom and my dad and my girlfriend think I'm crazy that I want to, see him again or talk to him. Because to me, it's like, I just want to ask him why. What's the whole reason behind you doing this? So yeah, I think for me, I've been, since I was little, stuff has happened to me, and I thought it was time for me to get somewhere and really show, some of the findings that I had. I'm sure since you lived over here in Baytown, that Old Town Spring. Have you ever been down there?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
Yeah, Old Town Spring. The very first show that I did for YouTube, I went to Old Town Spring, and I was like, well, I've been in the tour, I had some fun with that, got to hear the little stories, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go out here, try to see what I find. And I walked, I recorded everything, and when I first started, all I had was my little phone and everything,
Mm-hmm.
And I was walking around asking questions and stuff, and throughout the whole thing, I just felt peaceful. I didn't feel anything dark or anything like that, and got that in, that whole video done with, and I came back home. And I honestly, that night, I got to my girlfriend. I was like, you know what? I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I just don't think this video is gonna work out for me to upload it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, she's like, I'll take a look at it. So first thing she does is grab my laptop. She gets on the thing and she starts looking at the video. And she puts on headphones, and we're right there on the corner. You know where Puffer Bellies is at?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're right there, and I'm like, okay, guys, there's nobody here. There's literally, it's just me and my cameraman, and as you can see, a truck is passing by, but literally there's no one here. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's dead silence. And all I hear is someone go, hey. And I'm like, okay. I was like, all right. She heard that, and I was like, come on, now you're playing with me. You're trying to make me get excited about a video. So like, no, look, I heard it. So I get on there and I hear it. And then not even 5 minutes later, I'm asking about this lady in white that supposedly appears there.
Mm-hmm.
And someone responds to me about that question and says, not anymore. So to me, that was pretty exciting. I think for me, that being that my first video to upload, I was like, okay, I I got something there. So it was pretty cool when I had my experience at Old Town Spring. I know there's a lot of it down there. Um, so to me, it was just it's fun doing it. The whole YouTube experience for me, it's not so much, do it to get rich or do it to get famous or anything like that. It's more to me, it's a hobby of mine. It's just putting what the real findings that I have, and not just faking stuff here and there. So
Right,
it,
right.
it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean we're in it to prove things, not so much to get famous.
Right.
There's that way, people don't. You can tell people you're not crazy. Look, this is what I found. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it gives it. It gives a peace of mind to the person that whenever you go out there and you're investigating their house or anything, they're like telling you all their stories and telling you, I hope you don't think I'm crazy because this is what I'm seeing or this is what I'm hearing. And I'm like, no, I don't think you're crazy. I think we're in the same boat. If we're crazy, we're both crazy. So
Right, right.
yeah.
So
So
when you were in Old Town Spring, did you happen to pass by the Luciferian Church?
yes, I actually did. I actually did. It's I was able to pass by there and stuff. At first, I didn't know about it, but someone messaged me that that's where it was. So I went by it and stuff, and yeah, it just gives you bad vibes there.
Yeah, I actually went in that place.
Oh, did you?
I talked to the minister there and everything.
Really?
It was a different experience to say the
Really?
least.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah,
yeah, Spring area, there's lots of history and there's
there is.
lots of paranormal stuff there.
There is. There really is. I mean, just recently, I went out with the team that I'm telling you that I recently got to have an experience with. We went West Houston Paranormal here in Houston. We got the opportunity to head out to for International Ghost Day,
Yeah.
Ghost Hunt Day. We went out to Arkansas, and we went to what's that called? Um, I think it's Big Buff Cave, something like that.
Okay.
And it's basically it has a lot of old artifacts that they find in there from like Apaches and Native Americans and stuff like that. So it also supposedly has a lot of alien sightings and stuff. So we went out there and it was chaotic, man. From the very first beginning, we got there, and when we first got there, our biggest issue wasn't even the ghost. We got there and we unloaded our stuff, and not even 5 minutes in, a whole bunch of people were just coming in looking at the cave, right? And we're like, okay, we have so much equipment out here. What if it gets stolen? So that was our biggest issue for us was from them to steal it. But we started our investigation, and at first we would hear like a lot of sounds coming. We were deep in the cave, and we would hear like either people calling us or people or even hear some drums in the very in the beginning of the cave. So we would go out there again and we wouldn't see anybody. Um, but then we got into the night, and it was that was a crazy experience because we get there and we're starting the second part of our investigation, and the owner is there. He's inside with us, and we were about to start our second part of the investigation, and we bring out the spirit box. And as we bring out the spirit box, we start seeing two lights come into the cave, and we all get up and we see that it's two guys, right? And we're like, hey, bro, the cave is closed. We're doing a video, and we're paranormal investigators, and we're trying to, we have the cave closed. We bought it for that night. And they're like, oh, they didn't care, right? And so the owner gets close to them, and the two guys push him, and the guy falls to the floor. So the owner falls to the floor. We try to go after the guys. The guys end up running, and they get in deep into the cave, parts where we weren't able to go into,
Right.
right? And so we're pissed because at this point we had to stop everything. We're waiting for these guys to come out. We're like, hey, guys, come out. Just we won't tell y'all anything. Just get out of the cave. And they just wouldn't listen. So we ended up having to call the cops. And we stopped the investigation like around 12, so it wasn't even, we didn't even do pretty much anything. So once we called them, the cops came, made a big deal. They made us stop. They were waiting for the guys to come out. One of the girlfriends of the guy that was in there came in, and she was calling them to come out, and they wouldn't listen. It was around 3 o'clock in the morning, and they brought in some guys to go in there. They call them cave crawlers. The cave crawlers went in there to go look for them. They couldn't find them. And after 30 minutes of the cave crawlers going in there and they couldn't find anybody, the two guys come out, right? And all you see is the lights coming out, and we're like, hey, they're coming out, they're coming out. So one of them starts running our way, and he's trying to escape from the cave while the cops were trying to get the other dude that went right back inside the cave. And so it was just a big ass deal. And one of them ends up trying to run away, but me and another guy end up tackling him and getting him to stay on the floor while the cop comes and handcuffs him. The other guy goes back into the cave. He goes in deep, and they couldn't catch him. So we were just literally right in front of the cave the whole time. We couldn't, do anything else. So it was a horrible day, man, for us. We were just waiting there for the guys to come out. And we ended up coming back to Houston that Sunday morning. We ended up driving back, and we got to Houston like around 6 or 7 at night. And they had 30 minutes before we arrived to the house, they call us and they tell us that they finally found the guy. He was hiding inside one of the rocks, and he was basically, it had passed about a good 12, 13 hours. They literally thought the guy was dead. They thought the guy was dead because they were like, the waters in there are super cold. They're like -20. So they were like, you're not going to find him alive. They thought the guy was just going to find him dead, So they ended up finding him. And according to the cops and everything, he was actually a federal fugitive. They were actually trying to, he was a federal fugitive. And they ended up getting him. The FBI was looking for him and everything. So it was just a whole big old chaos, man. We didn't find any ghosts.
But you found a fugitive?
But we found a fugitive, so that was something.
Man, well, a lot of the investigators will tell you they're more scared of the living than they are of the dead.
Oh, yeah, and that's actually what I tell my girlfriend. Whenever I go out and stuff, I'm like, dude, I'm honestly more afraid of the living than I am of the dead. I was like, because I can beat up, I can try to beat up a living, but if he has something else, he's going to get me, but a ghost probably won't be able to catch me, so. Yeah.
We had a similar situation when we went to the Yorktown Hospital, and there was people trying to break in while we were doing our investigation. And I carry a 45 with me everywhere I go, and really? I literally had to reach for it because I thought they were going to finally break in, but eventually they gave up and left. But that's the part of the investigating that you really hate, especially like when you go into a bad neighborhood where there's a haunted location or anything like. You never know who is going to come after you. You don't know what kind of nutcases are out there.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about it.
I mean, you literally had a fugitive from the law.
Yeah. No, I mean, for us, it was crazy. I mean, and that was my first investigation with them, that they were like, hey, dude, we're going to go out there and look for some ghosts, and we're going to have a good time. And before we left, the main leader of the team, she had spoken to somebody, and they were like, you're going to have a good time out there, but the whole investigation is not going to be, good. You're going to have a hard time out there. And she was like, all right, man, I'm going to try not to believe you on this one because we really are looking forward to it. And so as we're coming back, she reminds, she remembers about it, and she's like, man, it was just crazy. She was like, we ended up not finding any ghosts, but we ended up finding two people out there. So.
Well, you must have really had a passion for it because you went back out again, right?
Yeah. It was crazy, So I mean, it was fun. I had fun out there, and we got to, experience some stuff. But other than that, I mean, like I said, for me, I do it because I just it's cool to help out people that think that they have no other choice
Yeah.
than to just live with it. And you know, I when I was about 18, as soon as I graduated college, high school, I went into the seminary. So I had the opportunity to head into seminary. My family is Catholic, so I went into seminary, learned a lot, started learning about demonology and everything. So it was fun learning about it, and it just got me thinking that I could probably do more with that. So I said, why not become a paranormal investigator and go out there and look for some ghosts.
Hey,
So
why not?
yeah.
I always say if you believe in the Bible, you have to believe in ghosts because there's
Oh
plenty of
yeah.
stories in there.
Yeah, definitely. If you believe that there's good, there's gonna be bad. So that's
Exactly. And so you decided to start doing the YouTube channel. I mean, that was just, hey, I want to do it, and you got into it, huh?
yeah, no, when I first started, I told my girlfriend, I was like, you know what, I want to do something with my spare time. I wanna, I do my paranormal. I go out and look for ghosts, but I don't never post anything. I do it because I like it, because it's fun, or because I can help somebody. But I told her I want to be able to put together something and show stuff. People want to see it, cool. If not, cool. So I posted it, and I got really good feedback from it, and so I just started posting more. And not only that, I'll do paranormal stuff on my channel, but I'll throw in from time to time something stupid, where I go play some jokes on somebody, like my girlfriend. I'll go and trick her. Um, I met somebody in San Antonio that does clowns, and so
Oh
they have
boy.
this whole clown. Yeah, they have this whole clown gig and stuff. And what they do is, they go out and scare people. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pay them, get my girlfriend, and it just I had a good time with that.
And you still have a girlfriend?
Yeah, yeah, I still have a girlfriend, so that's a good part about it.
She must really love you.
Yeah, yeah, she does. She really loves me. She puts up with me. I'll tell you that much. She puts up with me.
You better marry that girl one day.
Right? Yeah, yeah. No, she she can hear me. So.
So, is there any aspect of the paranormal that you just won't touch? Say, like Ouija
um,
boards or anything like that?
I think that's the one that gets me. I just I always tell my mom. I actually, when I was younger, I had an experience with that because I was um I was in a 15, and the girl that was doing the 15, she had a Ouija board, and my mom always told me not to play with it. Being Catholic and stuff, she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "You touch that, there's gonna be bad stuff coming after you." And me being the little scaredy cat I was when I was younger, I was like, "Nope, I ain't gonna touch it." So they ended up playing with it, and she was like, "You know what? They always respond to us. It's fun. It's just a game. Let's have fun." And I was like, "No, I'm not getting anywhere close to it."
Right.
Um, yeah, and so she they ended up playing with it, and I was sitting down on the couch, and there was a girl sitting right next to me, and I was like this sitting down, and she goes, "You just hit me." I was like, "Girl, I didn't even touch you." She goes, "Yeah, you did. You hit me. You hit my leg and this and that." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And so next thing you know, these guys go out and ask them, "Hey, did you hit the girl that's right next to Jay?" And they're like, and he goes, "Yes." So as soon as he says yes, I just got up and I was like, "Yeah, it's time for me to go home." I
Nah.
was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm not messing with this." My parents, when they were little, they usually would play that little game. In Mexico, they play with some little sticks,
Okay.
and they ask a question, and basically what happens is the sticks, you throw them and they move. So they move to whether the question is a yes or a no,
All right.
and they would have fun with that. But for me, it's just I wouldn't play with it. It's just something I wouldn't. That's really the thing I wouldn't touch. But like I said, I really want to. The whole reason why I think I did it and to begin with the paranormal was because I really want to find out what's following my dad and what would the reason of why are you doing it. you know, and my mom is, you know, she tells me I'm crazy, I'm nuts. And the day I finally see that shadow or see the figure and answers my questions, is the day that I'm just gonna lose it. So I'm waiting to see that happen, you know. Um, but actually, I went down, like I was telling you earlier, I went down to a house to do an investigation, and I'm coming out of the house, right? And I had just every time I speak about that accident that I had with the shadow,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, I either see it or I hear something. And that day we were just getting out of the house and we're filming. I have the camera right in front of me, and I'm talking to my cameraman and the guy we had in the bag that was helping us. And I'm telling them, I was like, guys, I mean, what did y'all think about the investigation? Do y'all think that it makes sense that you know she has enough proof for us to do something else to get some more help, or did y'all feel anything? And as we were talking, right in front of me, I started seeing the street is like not even 10 feet, you know, to the end of the street, and I start seeing a shadow just walk, and it starts going from one corner to the other one, and it's walking. And as it gets to the middle, it kind of stops. And I'm like, all right, man, I see a shadow. And I yelled to them, and I'm like, guys, there's a shadow. So I start driving to it, right, just to make sure it wasn't like a person or anything. And the shadow keeps on going. And as soon as I get to the corner of the street, the shadow makes it to the other end, and it disappeared on me. I was like, all right, man. I was like, man, one of these days, I'm gonna get to see why it follows me or why it follows my dad or anything like that. So
So you need to have your camera and your digital recorder ready because you just talked
right.
about it. You
Yeah,
just
no, I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's something that I always talk about it. And my girlfriend, like I said, I mean, she really doesn't like it. She gets up, sometimes upset about it that I do it because she's had paranormal experiences, but she just hates talking about them.
oh yeah.
Um, So my end, I'm just more thrilled about it, and her brother is too, because her brother is my cameraman. So he's the one that goes out with me, and she calls us crazy, but we're right there, hanging on.
Oh yeah.
So
The way, I was married to a Hispanic woman for 20 years, and
yeah,
I know that the majority of Hispanic people are very superstitious when it comes to that kind of stuff. So
yeah, yeah,
they're
and
like,
that was actually one of the questions that as soon as I joined this group that I'm telling you about, they were like, "You're Hispanic." I was like, "Yeah, I sure am." It's like you're like,
how could you
you know,
tell?
yeah, how could you tell? My color. And she was like, well, it's because my mom's Cuban, and she hates me going on this stuff, but I do it because I love it.
Right.
She automatically picks up the phone and calls her mom. She's like, Mom, I have a Hispanic kid here with me. I was like, I'm not the only one. I'm out here laughing. I'm in the back of the truck just laughing at him because my mom told me right before I left, she's like, what if these people kidnap you and just take you somewhere? You never come back. And I'm like, Mom, it's not going to happen. I was like, you're just wishing the bad stuff on me. I was like, come on now. And so it was crazy because once I got back, I told her the story, and she was like, I told you, you see, you shouldn't have been going over there. You just get yourself into some mess. And I was like, Mom, it's one in a lifetime that it could happen. So,
Man. So
yeah,
get off the subject for just a second. Do you know the group La Sombra?
I actually don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay. No, I was going to tell you, I went to a quinceanera and they played there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So ask your parents. Maybe they know who they are because it's kind
Yeah.
of an older group. And
Yeah. Yeah,
but
no, they probably know him.
I just had to ask.
Yeah, yeah, no, I actually don't know that group, but yeah, no, it's crazy, man. And I mean, for me, it was joining just paranormal itself was something I had to get a fear off because first of all, me doing it was something that I think when my dad has someone at his job that once told him, he's like, uh, your son is very he's easy to prey on. He's like, your son is not a tough person, and he could attract stuff and stuff like that, and he could have a bad experiences. And I always told my dad, I was like, well, Dad, I don't believe it. I think I'm actually tough. And but deep inside, I was like, yep, I'm a big scary cat. I was like, I'm not gonna make it out here. So, and right, like I said, where we live, there's so many experiences. And one night, I used to work at Home Depot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming out. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was heading home. And to get to my house, I had to take this little path off of the freeway where it basically makes like a little S, like a snake.
Mm-hmm.
So as I'm driving there, um, my dad once saw basically a white shadow just cross the street, and he almost ended up crashing. And the guy that I'm telling you about that told my dad that I was weak and stuff like that. He told him that not to go through that street anymore because something bad was really gonna happen to him or anybody in his family.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, you know what? I told my dad, Dad, I'm gonna keep going through that street because I don't think anything bad is gonna happen to me.
Right.
And I always used to play a joke on my dad, and I used to play the joke on my mom that I was like, I'm gonna turn off the lights and I'm just gonna drive without lights on. And sure enough, one night I'm coming down, like I said, from Home Depot. I'm going to my house, and I end up turning off the lights, and I turn them on, turn them off, and turn them on, turn them off, and turn them on. And I'm basically getting towards the train tracks to make the turn. And as I'm about to do it, I turn on the lights one more time, and I literally saw like a small person bending down like he was eating something off the floor. And I'm like, what the hell? So I get off, I literally drive right into it. I, I pressed on the brake, turned off my truck, and I tried running out there, and the thing just basically disappeared right in front of me. And I was
Oh.
like, all right. I was like, I believe, my dad believes in what they call duendes in Spanish, and in English is like a dwarf,
Uh-huh.
basically, and more of a cryptid, I guess, type of stuff. So my dad was like, that's probably what you saw because I see it a lot over there whenever I drive through there. And I was like, well, that's probably what I saw, but I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it because I want to see him again. So I think that's where it really started with me trying to be more into paranormal stuff.
Yeah. We used to tell the kids if you don't go to bed, the cuckoo's coming after you.
Right, and my dad used to do that, man. My dad, I'll be honest, my dad used to do that. He used to he tells me every time, he's like you were a little scaredy cat because you used to put me in bed. He was like, if you don't go to sleep, the Kukui gonna come get you. And as I'm trying to go to sleep, he would go, did you hear that? And I would be like, no, I didn't hear anything. He'd go, meow, meow, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? So I would try to go to sleep as quick as I could, and my dad would get a laugh at it, man. He was just, and now I laugh right with him, but I mean, it's crazy,
Oh yeah, the things we tell our children to get them to go to bed.
right? Exactly.
So I know before we started recording, we talked about that you had some type of abilities, and in my mind, I believe you're an empath,
Right.
and being an empath, you are going to attract a lot of things because things are going to come to you
Right.
and try to communicate with you,
Mhm.
and they will follow you. Now, I know because my wife is an empath, and it doesn't matter where we live, something always shows up. It never failed. Now, mind
Yeah.
you, we've only moved 3 times since we've been together, but all 3 places, something has showed up.
No, it does. It's crazy because this place that I'm living in right now, well, like I said, I'm about to move. Right behind me, I still have stuff, but in front of me, I don't have anything. Everything is in boxes. But when we first arrived to this house, I told my girlfriend, I was like, it's really dark in here. The whole place just gives you a bad sensation. And she was like, shut up, because I'm not gonna want to live here. I was like, yeah, I know, I know. So I ended up just shutting up. And she always tells me, she's like, the day that something follows you, that's the day I break up with you. So I usually never tell her anything. Um, and the first week that we got here, my parents came over, and we had like a little dinner. And my dad got upset at something. My mom ended up saying, once again, "Mom, I love you." Um, but he was outside in the parking lot right here of the house, of the apartment that I live in, and he was in the parking spot. And my mom ended up staying in the night, and so I go outside and I asked my dad. I was like, "Dad, come and sleep inside. You know, we got space to sleep in here." I was like, "Come on inside." He's like, "No, I'm gonna stay outside because your mom's pissed." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Cool." So I ended up going up to bed and I ended up falling asleep. And I wake up the next day and he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "Yesterday I told you twice to go up, to stay inside, because I wasn't gonna go in." I was like, "Dude, I only went once." He's like, "No, you went twice." He's like, "You asked me if I was gonna go to bed." I was like, "No, I asked you once and that was it." He's like, "And then I saw your mom," and my mom turns around, looks at him. He's like, "Not once did I tell you to come inside." So my dad was like, "There's something out here," because he's like, even after I figured out that it wasn't your mom, because he said that when he was falling asleep, he heard a knock on the window, and he turns around and she asked him, she's like, are you going inside?" And he's like, "No, I'm not going inside." And he said that my mom said that he was like, "All right, well then leave, go to hell, you know, go somewhere, I don't care what you do with your life." And my dad was like, "All right, that's fine." And he just turned around and tried to go to sleep again. And he turned right back around as soon as, like, not even a second later, he turned back and there was nobody there. So he's like, he figured it wasn't my mom. And he said that right by the fence where he was at, he would hear a lot of scratches. So I told my dad, I was like, "Man, don't tell me that, because I just moved in here, man." I was like, I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. So sure enough, not what was it? Not even after I came back, because I finally had the opportunity to go out to Denton, and I went down to the Goatman's Bridge.
Oh yeah.
You ever been out there?
I
Yeah.
haven't actually been there, but I know of it.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to go out there, and the day after I came back, we were in bed, and I think it was around 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up because I couldn't sleep, and I tried waking up my girlfriend, um, but she wouldn't wake up. And I remember that when I was trying to fall asleep again, I would hear little kids playing outside.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
was like, "Man," I was like, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. There could not be any kids outside. And I could literally hear them right outside my window. I was like, "Yeah, if I get up, I'm going to see them. And I'm going to want to go out there with my camera and everything. And I'm going to make a big fuss about it." So I was like, "I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to stay in bed and go to sleep." But yeah, it's happened. It's happened where when I was younger, I went into a house, and I remember having a full blown conversation with the little kid.
Oh my goodness.
And I think I was around 15, and the kid seemed like he was maybe 11. And I didn't know it was my mom's friend's house, and I didn't know that there wasn't a kid living there. I actually thought, that it was a whole family. I thought it was the mom and the dad and the little kid. And so I was talking to the kid, and he comes out of one of the rooms, and he's talking to me, and he invites me to go play with him. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll go right now." And so he tells me, "Come on, let's go to the back." And I was like, "All right, I'll go with you in a minute." He's like, "No, come on, I gotta show you something." And I was like, "Hold on, let me go tell my mom I'm about to come play with you, because we're going towards the woods and stuff." And he's like, "No, come on." I was like, "No, hold on." So I go up to my mom and I tell her that I'm gonna be playing, and she's like, "Who are you gonna go play with?" I was like, "Their kid," because he's asking me to go play outside. And she's like, the lady turns around and she's like, "I don't have a kid." And I'm just like, "Dude, come on now." I was like, "You can't tell me you don't have a kid."
All right.
Yeah. And so I started freaking out as soon as I heard that, because I was like, Mom, I was just talking to a little kid, and she was like, No, you must have been on something because there was nobody in here. And I was like, man. So I have had times where I feel like, I see stuff, I can sense it, and sometimes it's a gift, and sometimes it's just something you don't want to have.
I know, I hear you, man. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, our time is about up. But before we get off of here, I would like you to, of course, plug where your YouTube is at, and also your social media, so people can follow you.
Oh, definitely. Feel nice. So y'all can follow me on Instagram, JLivingTV Official, Facebook, JLivingTV, and you can catch me on YouTube. All you got to do is type it in JLivingTV, and you can find me on there. Subscribe to my channel, guys, and hit the notification bell. Just follow me, and thank you so much for having me on your
Hey,
on your
man,
show.
my pleasure. And I will copy it and put it on our social media so people will be able to follow you.
Oh man, thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you
All
again.
right. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. All
All
right.
right
You take
then.
it easy out there.
All right. And thank everybody for joining us on another episode of Into the Pit. And continue to support us, spread the word, and please go and subscribe to our YouTube, and follow us on our Facebook and our Instagram and all that good stuff. But Twitter, I'm trying very hard to get better at Twitter, but I suck at
Man,
Twitter.
believe it or not, I have two, and I think I only have like 2 followers. So go follow me. But it's just crazy,
I'm trying anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
anyway, I'm sorry, but
take it
thank
easy.
y'all.
All right.
Po boy.